What I usually say is you need to understand the heart behind what's going on. So sometimes you do something that might be perceived as being negative, but the heart behind it is wanting the best outcome. No parent will want for their child's wedding or marriage not to be a happy one. It might not be how you've envisaged it. It's usually from a place of them wanting the best. Every parent would always want the best for them.
And their best could be a different version of what it might not be. It's not right or wrong, but this is the best in their own mind.
In their own mind.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Twirls and Tuxedo, a podcast that talks about all things weddings and getting the best people around the world to talk about how to have the best day on your wedding day. I have a special guest with me today, Auntie Sheyi. She's a senior Agba planner, executive planner. Well, let her talk about herself.
I don't like that Agba shout.
No, Agba, as in Agba Bola.
Cool and young.
Okay. She's a senior planner and she's had loads of experience planning loads of weddings across the globe. But you talk about yourself a bit more.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Sheyi Tokan, as Ife said, and I've been in this business for 22 years now. So I have had a lot of experience. I've done, some amazing events across the globe, across the world. I don't only do weddings. I do private events. I do some corporate events as well, and I just like to have fun with anything that I do. And I do my best to sort of get that 80 people with creativity, who understands the professionalism that is required and who love what they do, that will bend over backwards to do the best and make me look good, make my clients look good.
That's fantastic.
That's how we met.
Yes. We did in the Barcelona wedding 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Yes, fantastic. Yeah. So, Auntie, for you, and for my viewers, I'm Nigerian, so I have to call her Auntie because I'm respectful. So that's why I call her Auntie.
It's as if my name is now Auntie Sheyi.
Yes.
Just even my older siblings call me Auntie Sheyi.
So Auntie, for you, just talking about your business and as a planner, is there any destination you're looking forward to that you would love to do an event that you go there, you're like, wow, I need to do something here? What's that for you?
I think for me it would be somewhere like Singapore.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I love Singapore. I've been there, and I just think that it's a destination that offers a lot in terms of tourism, the activities and the guests that can get involved with. Also, the fact that they can jump on a cruise and go off somewhere and come.
Yes.
I've done something similar for a client last year or even a couple of years ago, where we went on a cruise, but we stopped at different destinations to have events.
Okay. Yeah, was this a birthday or?
It was a birthday.
Okay.
We had about 75 people.
Oh, wow.
And we stopped at about 2 or 3 different places to actually have a full-blown event.
Okay.
Before jumping on back on the ship.
Oh, fantastic! And then actually, did you mention the name of your company?
Oh, Once Upon a Destination.
Once Upon a Destination, and I know it says destination, but you also do local events in London and Nigeria. Yes, because you're
in Nigeria.
Yeah, fantastic. And then and what is the biggest destination when you've done? What's the size? What the size of that?
It's got to be the Barcelona.
Yes. I knew it was that.
In terms of numbers.
Yes.
And in terms of complexity as well.
Yes.
The family really just wanted a celebration, and that was what it was.
Yes.
Amazing.
It was 500 and something people.
50,
yes.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was absolutely fun.
Work.
It was fun, and it was managed chaos, and it was managed very, very well. And again, and she's very modest. She does a lot of high net worth clients as well. And with Nigerian high net worth clients comes a lot of complexity and do you know who I am kind of thing. And she managed it very, very well. So that's absolutely fantastic. So we're going to go into today's topic. We're talking about managing conflicts with during the wedding period with family, friends, and vendors. Well, that's what we're going to be looking at. And this came about because after I got married last year, so I had my own issues with conflict within, family conflict and conflict with friends, and also with vendors. And I selected you to have this conversation because you supported me in your own way in supporting with the family conflict and also with the vendor conflict as well. And also, like I said, I've seen you in action on the field, if you want to call it that. And I've seen how you manage yourself. You're very, very calm in the midst of the storm and everything, with all the chaos going on, but you're very, very calm. So I thought you'd be the best person to speak about this. And also with your experience as well, 22 years, you've seen it all behind the scenes. You've seen it all. So I thought, we had that conversation. But to set the scene, I'm just going to read something I found online. This is nobody I know, just for the record. It's just something I found online about just a dilemma someone is going through. And then we can then start the conversation from there. Okay, it goes. Please don't read this if you're feeling light and happy. I don't want to drag anyone down.
Okay.
Very dramatic starts. My mom never had a real wedding. Now she's imposing every little opinion down to the inch size of the napkins. She literally tried to tell my fiancé that he must wear a vest. Now this week she needs me to draw a layout of the garden. Is a backyard wedding. She had her say my dress, the bouquet. She tried to pressure me into taking dance classes with my fiancé. And frankly, I feel like she's forgetting which one of us is actually getting married. I've been playing nice and trying to keep the peace, but it's really ruining the engagement for me. I know other mothers who basically showed up just at the wedding. She talks to me like she's my manager, and this is a very, very important business meeting to her. Is there anyone else out there whose mom is inserting herself into every little detail, and not in a positive way, but in a doubtful way, adding more stress? Does anyone have any way I can deal with this, and how to feel better about this? So this is just a scenario we're going to use as a foundation for the topic. So I'm a wedding MC, and my wedding style, my wedding MC style is getting engaged with the couple. I get close to them, and sometimes they confide in me. And every wedding I've done, there are always issues. I've seen, a bride cry on her wedding day because one auntie said a few things I shouldn't have said on the wedding day. So I've seen it all. So we're just trying to help the future couples to go through their wedding planning phase, smoothly and be excited about it. Yeah. So, as in your opinion and your experience, why does this happen? Like, where does it all come from?
Yeah, weddings are very emotional experiences. I always say that I remember my daughter from about age 5 will talk about weddings.
Oh, wow.
I'm telling you, Mommy, when I'm getting married, and then she became my niece chose her as a little bride. And she, in fact, we were all joking that she became a professional
YouTube bride.
She took it very seriously. And that's where the dreams start. That's where the vision starts for most girls, From when they're little, they already begin to, build a vision of what that day would look like. But for most guys, they just want to get married.
Yeah.
The girls want to have a wedding. It's usually about that. And then for the mother of the bride, if I put myself in that same position, I've started getting caught up with my daughter's vision in her dreams. So we're building this thing together.
For years, from age 5.
From age 5. I remember saying to a bride once that, because it was actually her dad, not the mom.
Yes.
But it was a positive experience, I have to say, in this situation. The dad was very, very, to the little detail, to the napkin.
Yes.
We went venue searching, and he was the one who was animated and involved, and he had a vision. And it kind of just struck me on that day and I told my bride, I said, before you ever even thought about having a boyfriend,
you already planned the whole wedding.
Your dad, possibly when he carried you on that first day, because there are usually stories surrounding birth. There's stories surrounding the family. There's stories surrounding the mom. And I found out from the dad, for instance, that, this particular bride just looks exactly like his mom.
Oh.
And he has a very close relationship with her. And thankfully for this particular situation, it was positive.
It was positive, yeah.
It was very involved. She literally just, let him do whatever. Of course, we informed her. We carried her along as much as we could. But he was the one in charge. So it's usually the emotions, the circumstances, the stories behind things that might have happened years ago. For instance, a client whose daughter was getting married had lost her husband years ago, and she had been bringing up this child from age 5. So coming up to the wedding, it was a very emotional, because she never thought when she got married that she was going to be the only one.
Okay.
There's so many things, and it's when people react to things, I've learned, aside from weddings, just to see what's talking from within them rather than what they're saying.
What you don't see.
There's a lot that you don't see that may be happening. So this is where a bit more grace and consideration comes in. I know when you're like in the firing line, it's very difficult to see those things, but there are usually other circumstances, other things happening, or might have happened even years ago that nobody has dealt with. We don't deal with a lot of things in our culture. You know, there are a lot of us that need therapy.
Yes.
You know, to deal with issues. Yeah, I'm telling you that need therapy maybe to deal with childhood traumas, childhood issues, or even issues in your adulthood that you might never have dealt with. You know, so I just find that it's usually around other things, mostly, not just the wedding.
No, that's fantastic, because and as a planner, you've seen all of this happen, and you're not even involved in the in all these issues. So as a bride or groom, how do you manage that? Before I ask that, another thing I think we need to touch on as well is that you mentioned just one side of these issues there, but there are two people involved, so there might be issues on both sides.
Oh yeah.
So you're talking about a bride, maybe the father is the side, or maybe the dad was late, or whatever the issue is. But on the groom side as well, there might be other issues going on there. So now, how do they navigate those issues? I know you mentioned therapy, which is a good way, but how do they navigate those issues? Because again, you don't know who the family are married into until like the very end when you get to the door. So how do they manage those issues when they see it early on? Because again, planning a wedding takes about a year on average.
It does, yeah.
So a year is a very, very long time. I remember when I was planning my own wedding, it took us a year and a bit, 2 years, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't invest money into any other thing. I couldn't do anything. It was just the wedding, because not wedding expenses is. So how a couple that were not even involved in the trauma from childhood, or were not involved in the death of the father or whatever, how can they manage this situation? Because it's a tall order to ask for young
people. It is a tall order. But what I usually say is, and I say this to my children, I use my family as a lot of example, is that you need to understand the heart behind what's going on. So sometimes you do something, you do something that might be perceived as being negative, but the heart behind it is wanting the best outcome. No parent will want for their child's wedding or marriage not to be a happy one. So whatever they do, it might not be how you want it to be. It might not be how you've envisaged it. But ultimately, if you try and understand where that heart is coming, where that yearning to even want to take control, and control is a big issue, where that thing is coming from, it's usually from a place of them wanting the best. Every parent would always want the best for them.
And their best could be a different version of what it might not be. It's not right or wrong, but this is the best in their own mind.
In their own mind. Do you understand? So if you first lay that as a foundation, oftentimes it allows you to give them grace. It allows you to approach the situation in a way rather than, approaching it with anger and whatnot, just to say, okay. And maybe even by approaching it with grace, you're able to bring them along. You're able to let them see, Mom, Dad, I hear what you're saying.
So what does grace look like? Because that's a very, very important statement.
It is.
What does grace look like? And you can go biblical on me if you want, because I know you are connected in the spiritual realm.
But grace is when it's like something where you don't deserve, but you give it yet. You still give it to that person, even though you might feel that you're justified to act a certain way. But what is the righteous thing to do? Because you see, justification is momentary. You do what you think just shut up kind of thing. But if you've just kept quiet, step back, you might get a better you might get the results you even want without you. But usually most times because of our emotions, because of we lash out or we say something that we feel is deserving for that moment. So grace is just offering that. I hear you. Okay, just offload on me, and then I can take it away and walk away. Grace is being able to just be quiet for a minute. Grace is just, I don't know what to say. Right? Can you give me a minute to go and think about it?
So it's a bit of wisdom, humility.
Having wisdom, having humility, and just putting yourself in that person's position. There's something I learned. I'm a certified coach as well. There's something that I learned called the third person perspective. You and I, as we're talking now, you have your perspective. There might be an issue and you feel very strongly about, oh, no, it should be this way. And I also would have my strong opinion. And then there might be a situation between us. However, if I just took a minute to be the third person and just be you for a minute and try and understand, where is Ife coming from? Why would he say that? What could be the circumstances around it? And see what we're discussing from your perspective. I can assure you I'll come back with grace. I'll come back to you with a different attitude, with a different way of dealing with the situation, understanding where you're coming from. So that's kind of an explanation of grace is unmerited. God gives it to us so generous. Meanwhile, we're all so undeserving. But it just sees us, say, there she goes again. And gives it to us.
Yeah. So it's very interesting because it seems like what you're saying here, all this requires a lot of conversation with your parents or with family members to understand the root cause or why the conflict is going to be brewing. So in a case where you don't have a good relationship with your parents, or your parents are not the talking type, how do you navigate that? Because again, a lot of parents, especially in our parents' generation, they don't like the word therapy. No. They see it as I'm not mad. So how do you? Because it seems like you almost need like a dependent party to manage these conversations and dig deep into the root causes. So how can a young person, a bride, a groom, going through this, manage this? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
I know. Yeah. But can I just say something?
Yes, please.
It's good that you've brought that up because it's not often times that you can go and talk to somebody. Yes. But what I've found is writing. Even in relationship, after having done weddings for over 22 years, I've been married for 32 years. So people come to me, couples come to me. I have a great relationship with most of my clients, and I like to be involved. But I find that when you write about a situation that you're unable to speak to somebody about, because that works as well. I've seen it work. And it's the tone of the message. One, not accusatory. Just again, applying grace when you're right. So, there's situations where you're trying to express yourself and start to cry, especially with women. And by doing that, you can't fully express the important thing that you're trying to say. You're just being emotional. And that can be construed as something else. Yeah. But when you're able to write down and then send them that message and leave them to sit on it and read it, I've found in my own experience, not just from my own personal life, when I've sort of counseled people, it had an effect that they weren't expecting that it would have that effect. Yes. So that's one way. If you have somebody, with a lot of us, we're very religious. So it could be a pastor, an understanding pastor, or an imam. Let's not just talk about Christianity. There are other people of different religions. Somebody who the person in
respects, the parents respect,
and that will listen to. Again, that's another way of doing this. And honestly, the goal, always start with the goal in mind. What are you trying to achieve? You're trying to achieve an equilibrium where everybody's happy. And that's possible. Because usually it's about people knowing that they've been hurt. She didn't even listen to what I had to say or whatever. But if they feel that they've been hurt and you carry them along, it takes a lot of effort to do that, because it's easier to say, please don't be a part of this if you're not going to do what I want. It takes more effort. It's like bringing up children. It's easier to smack your child and get them to do what you want them to do.
Yeah, but
it's harder for them
to understand.
Get them to understand why you're telling them to do what you want them to do. And it works the other way with the parents as well. Where a lot has changed. When I got married, my traditional was in front of my parents' house. And we had maybe about 200 people there, maximum. Everything was contained. I literally just turned up for my wedding. At the time, my dad was 80-something. They planned the wedding, and I was grateful for whatever they did for me at the time. A lot has changed in your generation where you're very involved. I remember when I started wedding planning, my brides or clients will come with me with like, oh, please help me plan my wedding, or give me ideas. Now they're coming with their ideas for you to implement. So things have changed a lot, and so if you go with the end goal in mind, and what's the end goal? You want
an equilibrium. Everyone is
happy. A happy wedding, one that mom will be happy, that person will be happy. And happy doesn't mean that we all have to have our way. It's about compromise as well. She said, okay. You want blue, right? Okay, I don't want blue, but maybe there could be a touch of blue somewhere that makes her, because there might be a significance. There might be a reason why she likes that color that even she might not even be able to articulate. You know, so
that's actually very, very, very interesting. That conversation, and I think another thing I'll add to is that having that conversation early as well is very, very important when you see the conflict is brewing as soon as possible, because it's a long process, it's a long journey, and as quickly as you can have that conversation as soon as possible. And also you mentioning about getting a third party involved if they don't like the word therapy. Yes, parents in the Nigerian culture anyway would like a religious figure to get involved there. Okay, so now let's move on to like friendship groups, or maybe vendors. No, let's do vendors. Conflict with vendors, because especially for destination weddings, and mostly the setup is that you might get a local person because obviously they know the lay of the land very, very well, and obviously with that they have a lot of power over the services and vendors use on that side. And in case where you're not aligned in the vision, they have the power to almost ruin your wedding. How do you manage all of that? Because we had similar experiences.
I remember.
To that. So how do you manage that for bride and groom?
Yeah, I think with that, again, it comes to just understanding people. Somebody said something to me recently. We're all being watched. Whether you like it or not, we're all being watched. And this particular father of the bride had been watching me. And we had a few weeks before the wedding, I just felt I wanted to connect to them, because we would have the general meeting where everybody's, at the meeting, they all contribute. But I wanted to connect with them one-on-one. So I sent them a message. I'd love to come and see you. Not well, let's talk. So we had a Zoom call, and I said, look, I don't feel that you're quite settled with this, and I want you to be relaxed and settled, so that by the time we arrive, you know that she has got everything under control. And he shared one or two that I know you've got everything under control, but actually it's not quite crystallized in my mind, because he has a background in events and whatnot. So we talked about all of that, and as we were, I was bringing them along. There were certain things I pointed and I thought, actually, we hadn't thought about that and whatnot. So it was a great meeting. And then as we were about to end the meeting, he said something to me, which, I've now coined my superpower. And I think it's something that we could all learn from. He said, I was watching you right through. He said, we went on a trip with you, just the penultimate venue meeting before we all went for the wedding. He said, I was watching you. I said, I'm a natural people watcher. He said, and I have to say something to you. He said, the way that you deal with people is something that I don't see often. When you make them feel that they're hurt, you make them feel that they're loved, and you connect with them on a personal, even though it's business, but I have a belief that business is just a facade we carry. The people behind those businesses
are people.
They're people, and people do people that they like. They do business with people that see them, that they can connect it. So if you're able to take that facade off, you said we've been watching the way people react to you, and they all watch, because at the end of the day, once you make them feel seen, once you make them feel heard, then they're more likely to cooperate with you. So when I'm working with my vendors around the world, I guess that's just a natural thing that I do, but it's a superpower. Just being able to look, is that what you think? Let me go and think about it. Well, that's such a good idea. Even though that's not what you're going to do in the end, though. But you might say, that's such a good because everybody has an ego. Everybody wants to feel that they're valued. Everybody wants to feel that, even if I've been doing the business for 2 years, they feel that they've accomplished something and they want to be acknowledged for that. So if you can get into that space with them, you can then pull them along to let them see what you're seeing and somehow manage that. Now, I know some people can be quite headstrong. They have their own issue. You
meet all sorts of people. Of
people. But I find that if you're able to, there's this, if you want to, something with monkeys, you have to know how to eat bananas. Something along those lines. There's a Yoruba saying that goes along those lines is Because as you said, they can ruin your event.
Yeah, they can. They have the power to.
They have you have no choice. You are their beck and call. And this is why you just have to get to them. Get to the point where you make them feel like that idea that you're giving them is actually their idea. There's an art to it. There's a way that you kind of just make people say, yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's so important. However, could we tweak it this way? Could we tweak it that way and carry them along? Because if you just say, because I paid you, you must do so, they can still mess things up.
Yeah. And again, just maybe about paying, because people think that, we have a contract, we have. Doesn't matter, because if you're doing a country where are you going to be taking a lawyer to
it's so much of a headache anyway.
Italy or whatever, you have to and again, like you said, they have so much power to ruin your day.
Yeah.
And again, your event is just another event to them.
But this is your
main day.
Yeah.
So you have to again have wisdom and humility.
And then carrying them along, just making them feel that you've heard them. I mean, it's some people will come up with outlandish ideas and things that doesn't really align with what you want, you're wanting to achieve. But you can building a relationship with people is so key. It's so in weddings, in destination weddings particularly.
Yeah, because you're not there.
You're not there. So it is so important to, even as the business to customer. So in your situation at that time, you're dealing with the direct business, but it is important to build that relationship, even if they don't want to build the relationship. But you do that because you know what you're trying to achieve. So for me, that's what has worked for me. Just being able to let people know that you see them, you hear them. However, could we tweak it? I love your idea. The idea is the best idea I've heard since I started this wedding planning. However, could it be tweaked in this way? And more often than not, people will listen to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because in my scenario as well, I remember that because obviously I've been in the wedding, been MC for about 3 years now, and I know the industry very well. I know how much things cost, and I know how to find good people. So when you're bringing me something that I know you have inflated the price, it annoys me. But obviously, after speaking to you, spoke to my auntie about the situation, then I realized that I just said to my wife, let her just make the money.
Yeah.
Let's just close our eyes to certain things. We know the price, but let's just, it's all part of that wisdom of letting them win a little bit because they have the power. And then, I mean, we got to a case where the venue was saying they were going to cancel our event or saying that if we want them to cancel the event. At that point, we realized that we have no more cards to play. Let's just fall in line.
You've got to work with them.
Yeah.
Especially at a destination, you've got to work with them. And this is where it is important to have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Because people often, once you've built that rapport and you have a relationship with them, they'll bend over backwards to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair to our planner, she did apologize. We did apologize. When we got it, we both apologized to each other and just made everything okay for us, and we carried on. Another thing I was going to add to it is that another thing, if you have the money, you can always get a local planner as well to be the in-between person. So I remember you're offering to support us that you be in between us and our planner. So at least the planner, if there's an issue, it is a business issue, not a personal issue with us. That's another thing people can actually do, if they want to.
Yeah.
So anything more on vendor conflict, or because I want to move on to friendship, anything?
Well, with vendors, as I said, just choosing the right people as well.
Yes.
That's very important.
Recommendation from your...
So go by recommendation, people that people have used before. Yeah. So that's important. And then I find that in terms of things like payments and stuff like that, getting that sorted way before you arrive. So that you're not having to deal with that while you're on ground.
Yes.
Things like that just helps to make sure that, people are indebted. I've paid you for a service. Then more than likely, people want to show off their work in most cases. It's not often that you find somebody who is so really bad at what they do. Not often than not. They be paid for service. They want to make sure that they deliver the best because they're showcasing their work, and they never know what else could come from.
Yeah. Because it's a referral business. Business they're in.
Absolutely.
Referral business. They want the best. So that's actually a very good point. Of sorting out payment because again, especially if you're coming from like Nigeria, where the payments might take a bit longer and all those things. I had a case where a couple or the parents of a couple had sent some money, didn't arrive on time. There was some issues there. And they had to go and sort it out. Yeah.
Those guys will not...
They will not move. Yeah.
They will not move until that's sorted. And that will just bring unnecessary stress and...
Yeah. They will not move. Absolutely. So now let's move on to conflict with friends. It's it's again, I think similar to family, because some friends become family.
Yes, yeah.
But obviously family, you cannot throw family away because you're bounded by blood.
Yeah.
But how do you manage that? And I think it comes with the people that feel they should give some responsibilities and they will not give the responsibility. So in the shape of groomsmen or bridesmaid or I'm supposed to do a speech or so how can you manage all of that?
All of that.
All of that.
Yes. What I always say, again, it depends on the person and the friendship groups and whatnot. What I did, I will tell you what I did 32 years in my wisdom that I had, honestly, and I've seen other people do that, and it just really works. If you have family that can do those things. So, for instance, my entire bridal party were my nieces and nephews. Entire, not an outsider, were my nieces and nephews. And my friends could just be at the wedding and enjoy themselves. Again, also with things like the speeches and things that people feel entitled to do. And this happens often with girls. You know, our relationships were like that with our girlfriends and whatnot. And, you know, and especially people that are popular. That have a lot of friends. I still have.
Yeah. I'm like that.
I have a lot of friends. So sometimes let's just choose your family. So nobody feels like, oh, I chose this that I shouldn't have chosen that. Why did you choose that? You didn't choose this person. There's none of that.
But again, even with family, there's will be issues. So I remember there was a couple, it's a big family.
Yeah.
And if you pick one person, it's a big extended family because I think that the father had many wives. So
okay.
So how do you deal with that now? You now pick.
Well, you just need wisdom. That's all I can say because you know. Or sometimes it might be somebody, so maybe the eldest. You just choose one person
based on certain facts. That's factual stuff. That's not anything emotional.
Just choose like the eldest.
But doesn't that take away from what you want as a bride or groom? What if there's a friend that's deserving of giving a speech?
There might be other times that you can do that, especially like the destination events where. Like the welcome party is a bit more fluid, it's more informal, as maybe you can do speeches as, you know, we try and, that might be a way of honoring that friend.
Or even if you do is it bridal shower, they call it?
Bridal shower as well, they get them to talk. So there's so many ways that you can do this without bringing in that complication for the wedding, you know, because emotions, people just feel, oh, we planned this wedding together, so therefore I must say something. Meanwhile, there might not be enough time to include everybody. You know,
I think there's also an element of having that conversation early on with people and saying this situation, either there's not enough time or blame your parents want this or just find it's all about wisdom of making person feel seen and heard. Because I remember during my time as well, you know, I might have offended a few friends. That's that begging. That's that begging, you know, on the day and all that sort of stuff. Or you had those conversations. I don't like having those conversations.
A lot of people don't.
I don't.
No, a lot of people don't.
But it's best to do it as early as possible.
So it's not awkward.
So it's not awkward near that time. Because if you told them, of course, if you're a good planner, if you've planned 6 months in advance your speeches, which people really don't. But if you told them, let's say 3 months before, it's a lot easier to take than a week before the wedding when they're already expecting to say a few words. So absolutely. So do you want to say anything more about conflicts with friends or?
I think pretty much as we've highlighted the main things, keeping people informed earlier on, and maybe just applying wisdom and just, you know, as much as you want your friends involved, for some important things, maybe just stick to family alone so that nobody feels offended. And also in terms of I just remembered something now. In terms of, because you have certain people that feel that they have experience. So you might be, your friend might have gotten married like 2 or 3 years before you, and you've turned to them for counsel and advice in the run-up to the wedding. When it comes to the wedding date and time, some people just assume that they have an important role because of that. Again, being able to manage that beforehand. So, for instance, if you already have a planner that you're working with, despite the fact that you've been talking to your friend on a one-to-one basis, you know, maybe just making them understand that, okay.
I think it's very important to understand who your friends are and their personality types. It's a lot of people management. Because that example you give, in my case now, one of my groomsmen already got married 3 years. That was the first wedding I emceed that.
Yeah.
But he played a key role on our wedding day because everyone thought he was the best man. He played a key role, and it was a positive outcome because he was coordinating everybody. He was involved, even to the extent that we forgot when you come out of the ceremony and they throw petals, we forgot that. He already brought
blessing.
Behind
Confetti and all.
Confetti and everything like that. So he had experience. So it worked out positively.
Yeah.
So in that case, I guess I didn't need to manage him because his personality was a good personality to add to. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that for people listening, that it depends on the individual. Not all sides fits all, but you have to manage people, understand the personality, and
I find that sorry to cut you off.
No,
I find that like with somebody like that, for instance, they could have been a part of, say, if you had a plan, and they could have been a part of the inner caucus.
Funny enough, he actually, so 6 weeks to the wedding, he set up he's a very organized guy. He set up a plan. We had one software we're using, so I had all my tasks to do. On this Saturday to remind me, send everything to me in the morning or in the front of the week. I would take it off. I get an email notification that this is due. So he actually got involved in the planning as well. So some of the issues with our vendor. So he also managed some of that issues as well. So so he really stepped up.
Yeah.
And again, it goes to show as well. Just digress a little bit. Bridesmaids, groomsmen, best men, chief maid of honor. It doesn't matter. Those that will show up for you will step up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always step up. So there's even a new trend where people don't want bridesmaids.
Oh, they don't.
Or groomsmen.
Really?
The wedding I did this weekend, they didn't want any. They didn't have any. But people always step up and support you. And again, it might even be easier because even managing all the bridesmaids, as for women, groomsmen is a bit more chilled. Selecting dress. Some say, my arms are too big. I don't want to show my shoulder. I don't. It just gets frustrating. So maybe that'll be a new thing now going forward. Again, it's all about applying wisdom and making your experience as stressless as possible.
Stress-free as
there isn't one size fits all for doing weddings. There are different ways you can do it. And again, I'll just touch on another thing, Auntie, about for speech example. So maybe you can give your friends another different role they can work on. Maybe I don't have anything top of my head, but there are different ways to honor people
and to make them feel
involved and everything.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic. So now last thing I want to talk about before we round up is so now let's say you've done all this consultation, you called imam, you called pastor. You've had conversations, you've spoken to your parents, spoken to your friends, where everything has scattered. They still don't want to listen. Even gotten as bad, they say they're not coming to the wedding. They were not doing this. Because what do you now do at that point in time?
Wow. That's a heavy one.
It's a big wow.
That's a big one.
But it happens.
It does happen. I mean, it does happen where, people sometimes don't even turn up on the wedding, and I find that, with those situations, again, depending on the relationship between groom and the family of bride.
Let's split stuff. Let's talk about what do you do as a bride and groom on the day of the wedding? Because remember, the wedding is only one day.
One day, yeah.
And it's probably one of the best days of your life, if it's done very, very well. What do you do as a bride and groom on the day? And then what do you do post that day? Let's split stop.
So assuming that everything has scattered. The choice has been made not to.
Parents have said they're not coming. Friends have said they're not coming.
Yeah.
Vendor has said they're not coming too. Let's do all three scenarios.
Yes.
Let's do all three scenarios.
Yes. And it's always good to have. So I'll start with the vendor.
Yes, that's the easiest one.
That's the easiest one. It's always good to have a plan B. Obviously, once you've attempted to talk to them, a lot of what we do is being able to think on your feet.
Yes.
And have a plan B, C, D, E.
Yeah.
Even. And just once you know that this is not looking good, then you have to put things in place. I'll give a good example where, not that anything scattered, but a client decided they weren't going to have a videographer at an event. And I knew they need to capture what's happening.
Yes, event 101.
Yeah, precisely. So up until like the night before, it was like, no, photography should be fine, But I had somebody lined up. I had something just told me to bring, and then on the day I just thought to myself, I spoke to one of my, I said, can you please get this person? So we got that person to come, and I was prepared to pay for it. Because later in the future, I know the person would regret not having them. And it was during the event, she just called me and said, I wish we had a videographer to capture. I said, don't worry.
Amazing.
I said, don't worry, I've got you.
Amazing.
She looked at me, But the guy, and the other thing was, I made sure the guy was discreet because I didn't know if he was going to
Upset her. Yeah.
So he was discreet and everything was captured. So just to always have your plan B on the side so if there's any issue. So that's the vendor side of things. With friends, people make their choices. When it's a friend, it's hard. If they do decide not to come, then they can't be there. There's nothing you can do about that. With parents, and if they do also friends, with parents, for example, I think you just need to reconcile that matter before the day. Because especially for the bride, it can be quite emotional. If it's a bride side issue, it can be quite an emotional, the way she looks and dad is not here, mom is not there, whatever. Just to reconcile that matter before the day, so that as much as possible you've dealt with your emotions.
When you say reconcile, is it reconciling with the parents or reconciling within yourself? Oh, with yourself. Okay, I thought you meant with your with yourself.
Because, as I said, she's been dreaming about this thing for like when she was little, and I'm sure when she was building that picture and the vision, she never thought
this will be the situation. Yeah.
So just to try and work that out within yourself.
Let's dive into that a little bit. That's very, very important. Yeah. So when you say reconcile, what practical steps could you take for a bride to like, what can you do? I know you've not experienced it, but what?
Well, one of the things that I will say is perhaps maybe journaling. Writing does a lot. It might not even be journaling if you're not the type that writes. It might be just video and sharing. I find that when I'm upset about something, by the time I've told Ife about it and I've called somebody else, and by the time I've told the third person, I know myself. I'm fine. I might even see that person and it's like never happened. That's my nature. So you need to understand yourself and how because it's grief, it's like a loss. So being able to, maybe if you have a therapist, to discuss it with your therapist, or maybe if you have your pastor or somebody who, you respect and you look up to, that would understand where you're coming from and where you can be vulnerable with that person. Because you might need to do the crying and get it all out.
The vulnerability is very, very key.
It is very, very key. Just do all of that if you can. I know it sounds like so idealistic because obviously the run up to the wedding, you're busy trying to do so much at the time. But if you don't allow yourself that time,
you feel it
on the wedding day. You feel it on the wedding day. The other thing might be, again, I love writing letters. Just writing to the person, before the wedding and just expressing how their decision has affected you and putting it somewhere. You don't have to give it to them on the day. The other thing also might be still acknowledging them at the wedding.
That's powerful.
Acknowledging them with a picture or something and maybe reading a poem because you're honoring them still.
That's powerful.
The Bible says, so that they're still a part of it. Even
and I think that goes back to grace.
Yes, that's grace. Yes. So even though they've chosen not to be there, they're still there for you. And you've made them a part of it.
And trust me, they will see it because they're always watching.
They will see
they're always watching.
They will see it. And these things, by God's grace over time, the relationships will mend. And when they see that, they'll see how important that they are to you. When they see that, despite everything, you still honor them, you still acknowledge them and whatnot, So those are the things that I would suggest that a bride and groom would do.
So on the day, and then what about after the wedding? Is it then trying to reconcile, or if possible, is that something they could try to do? If possible?
If possible, do, because your parents are very important. They're an important part of your life. You cannot completely shut them off. Some people do. I mean, I know, maybe because I've lived a very sheltered life, but I know that there are some circumstances where, the relationship is so toxic that maybe not. But more often than not, I find that most parents' intention, their heart towards their children is to give them the best. So if it's possible to still reconcile that relationship, please do. Because I always say something that one day you're going to be the father of the bride as well.
Amen.
And then you now see
the other side.
Kind of understand
emotions
that sometimes I talk to my kids and I'm like, my goodness, I'm sounding like my mom. And I remember in those days when mommy would say those things, I'll kind of roll my eyes behind the scene or, think, oh my goodness, this woman has started again, that kind of thing. life is in cycles, isn't it? You know, you one day you're the bride, and the next day you're marrying off.
Yeah.
And you then understand what that is all about. So if it's possible, yes, please do get your parents involved in your life. They're a blessing.
Yeah, if possible. No, actually, that's very, very powerful. I think I would also add a few things as well. Is that I love what you said about, especially for women or the bride, is that you have to deal with it before the day.
Oh yeah.
It's very, very important, because I think the most important thing, and that's why I started this podcast, that your wedding is only one day.
It is, yeah.
It's only one day, and it
goes really quickly.
Yes, and it is the starting block, or the starting point for your marriage.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying big wedding means successful marriage, but it is the issues you're gonna deal with in your wedding that will determine your marriage, because that is the first project you're doing as husband and wife.
Together. Yeah.
So any issue you have within your relationship as a man and wife would come out during that wedding period. So it's only one day. So deal with the issues before you get to the wedding day.
Yes.
That's very, very important, so that you can enjoy
your
wedding day. No matter who is there or who is not there, you're going to enjoy it, because people that love you are going to show up.
Yeah.
And they're going to be there for you. And you owe it to them, for if you're doing destination, wherever you're doing, traveling or wherever they're coming to, for you to be present for them as well. So that's one thing I would like us to highlight. And the second thing I'd like us to highlight before we close is that, and this is why I started podcast again, I'm talking about important issues in weddings, because everything is all glitz and glam, but behind the scene, we see it all. It's not. It's actually
at all.
It's actually you see some of the most craziest things happen prior to wedding. But obviously, the dresses, and everything. What I want to highlight here is very, very important, is that you're not alone, in the sense that you're not because another thing as human beings is that you feel like it's only you that's going through this, and you feel isolated, and you feel like, you're not. Is it your fault or whatever? You're not alone. People have gone through this before. I've survived it, and that's why I started this podcast as well, so people can know that when you're hearing us, you're not alone. And obviously, we cannot name people that have we can't do that. But I've seen a lot of things where parents have not come for various reasons. They don't like the person you're marrying or whatever, or so many different reasons. You're not alone. So please don't feel isolated during the moment. Enjoy your wedding day, because it's only one day, and as you said, it goes by very, very quickly. So I think I just want to highlight on those things.
The memories that you have of the day are good memories.
Absolutely. And I love how you mentioned that, because this morning, so one of my aunties, when she came to our wedding, she did a fantastic job doing all the videos and everything. She did this Instagram highlights. You can put it there. I watched it this morning. I watched before I came here. I just remember the moment, and I watched the whole wedding again. Like she did covered everything from the welcome party to the wedding day to the beach party. And you're absolutely right. If I said, oh, this person's not here, I won't be upset. Those memories. And I remember I saw my wife's on the welcome party. She looks so beautiful. She's still beautiful. And I remember I smiled. I was like, it's I want to marry again. If I could. One of my friends are telling me, you need to run the wedding again. I said, bring the funds. We'll run it again. We'll do it again. You guys bring the funds. So it's very, very important that those memories are going to be with you forever.
Absolutely.
And you need to ensure that you're in your best and shape. And you're giving those people that are present. You're present for those people that are present. It's very, 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 very important.
Because people have invested time, money, and energy, emotions,
everything.
To be there for you. So it's important to do.
So absolutely. So I think those two that I wanted to highlight.
Is there
anything else you wanted to add? We've covered so much, and actually, thank you so much for coming today. We spoke about grace, and I knew you were the right person to talk about this, because I know you have a very, very calm demeanor, and then you're also a religious person as well. So speaking about grace, I thought that was very, very important. Giving people grace, even they don't deserve it. Having those conversations early, using wisdom as well when you're applying wisdom to these things. So I think we covered a lot here, and I think this conversation is very, very important. And as we said, people see the glitz and glams of wedding, but you don't actually go back and actually talk about the issues behind there. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, the other thing actually is just that you reminded me as you were just talking there, is that when things happen in life, one thing I've learned, and I'm going to go spiritual.
Yes, let's go there. Let's go there.
Sorry, I can't help myself. Well, there was a word that the Lord gave me many, many, many years ago when I was going through a very difficult situation, and it says basically that the thief cometh to kill, to steal, and to destroy, but that Christ has come to give you life and life in abundance, which basically means that sometimes when situations happen, then they're not even the people, they're things that happen behind. that will use those people to steal your joy, to kill, to destroy relationships that you're not, that are important to you, And if you're not careful, and if you don't deal with things with grace, a lot of what we've said today, a lot of humility and wisdom, those things will be completely lost. So when things happen, please always leave the door open. Always, 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 because those relationships that matter to you, no matter what might have happened over there on that side, before we transitioned into this new status that we're in, please leave the door open for those that are still, you still want for them to be in your life, your parent or friend or whatever that, things might have looked really, really bad at the time, but we can walk through that. We can still have a relationship. It might be different.
Yes.
But you can still be I can still enjoy. I could do a whole series on that. On that, just being able to just give them that grace to leave that door open for us to continue that relationship, maybe in a different format. But I still want you to be a part of my life because you're important to me. It's one thing I want to sort of leave for people to still think about and allow if it's possible for them to.
Right, awesome. I think that's a fantastic way to close this podcast. I think the key words here are grace, humility, and wisdom. I think I might even change the title to grace, humility, and wisdom. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for listening to another episode of Twirls and Tuxedo. Until next time. Thank you.
Yay.